Welcome, everyone. I am not Mark. I am Joel. This is episode Undo 11. Undo is a show where we talk about the convergence of tech, business, and design, I think Mark says. Today we have some good friends. Mark is in LA traveling for business, so I'm kind of taking the reins for today. We have Amy and Jen Hood here, the owners of Hoodzpah Design, also founders of Sods and Sods. How do you guys reference that?
Accessories, bandanas.
The unnecessary
yes.
What is it? The
unnecessary
necessities.
Yeah.
Necessaries.
Those things you buy but you can't throw away. They stay in a drawer.
Beautiful pins and patches and scarves.
Yeah.
They're our friends here. They run their studio out of Newport Beach, California, just down the street from us, and so we're having them here to chat with us a little bit about design. Yeah, we're glad to have you guys here.
And thanks for the tall boys. Oh wait, you didn't bring
the
tall boys.
So we have a long past of them doing a lot of stuff for me for free, and I paid them in 3 packs of Tall Boy Modelo's.
Alcohol. He pays in alcohol.
I was gonna start the show off today with some Tall Boys, but it's only 10 o'clock, so it seemed a little inappropriate.
Although we are alcoholics, we don't want it public knowledge.
We don't want it to be on YouTube.
Now it's on footage.
So Hoodzpah is your guys' not agency, it's your guys' studio.
I don't know what to call it.
You have some people you pay for,
studio.
Yeah, studio's nice.
Sure.
We call it a boutique branding agency because it sounds kind of like swanky. Like we chose to be small. It wasn't it was a choice.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
So is that something? So from your guys' agency, is that something you focus on? As far as are you guys focusing on branding? Is that you guys obviously
definitely.
illustrate, you do lots of different things. Is in this space, how do you guys self-identify?
Well, that's the cool thing because we say we specialize in branding, and the best part about that is everything else falls under that umbrella, right? So you could bring in illustration, you could bring in video, there's messaging, there's so many aspects to it, and that's why we love it. It's never boring. There's always something new because every client's different, and how you tackle connecting with our audience is different. So that's why it's so fun. We pretty much anything we want to get into, like packaging or whatever, it's just a matter of finding the right client to
start their brand. Yeah. And once you start someone's brand, if they trust you, it's so easy to roll for them to trust you with those other things and to keep rolling into new projects, new avenues. Yeah.
So we specialize in branding.
Yeah. Very cool. Cool. So talking about projects and them rolling into new projects, starting a branding and getting some of the other facets of a brand, how do you guys evaluate that as a business and pricing? And you obviously want to win jobs, but you also want to maintain jobs and create good relationships.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things you've learned? What are some practices? I know we have a lot of designers that watch this show. And we're getting into some very practical things of just how people think about design and design organizations and how you run a business.
Right.
What are some things you guys have learned about running a business and how you take jobs and maybe take it from a brand into an entire campaign or entire product area?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, okay, so there was a few questions there.
Well, I feel like at the beginning, we used to, 80% of our business at one point was one client. And then it kind of grew to be more like 70, and then another big one was 20%. But then we had to fire one of those clients, and we realized we're never doing that again. So diversifying your clients to where you always have a safety that, okay, even if this ends up not being a good relationship and we don't want to have them as a monthly ongoing client, that won't make or break our success. Mm-hmm. And so since then we haven't ever, retainer clients are great, but we always try to diversify and make sure we have enough new clients coming in to where it doesn't get stale, and if it's a good time to leave or if we're growing, we can obviously pair them up with somebody that we know that will take care of them, but
and that's become the trouble, which is also a blessing. So for when you first start, the first few years are just oh God, please let us have clients.
Anyone.
I need some money.
Bring us anyone. We'll do it.
We get desperate. But then year 3, we're in year 5 now. Then year 3 and 4 was just being so busy. Mm-hmm. And year 4 last year was more just everyone was staying on with us, which was great. That meant they were happy with work we did, and they did want to keep using us for more and more.
But it became a problem. Our clients were our friends.
And they're awesome. But the only problem is that now so much of our clients are ongoing, and that we can't take on new work that it keeps us inspired and that kind of thing. And so we are having to find ways to maximize our time in that sense.
You take less projects, do you hire more people? Like, how
Right,
do
yeah.
you...
And we do. We have a great team that helps us keep on clients for a while. And we do. Like, there's a sense of ownership when you create a brand. You want to make... It's like a little baby. And I know it's not. We don't have children.
I've
Can
got
you
two
tell?
of them. That's
Yeah.
fine, yeah.
Is it like a baby?
A little bit. Like, brands don't poop their pants at night, but like, it's fine.
Metaphorically.
Maybe they do.
Metaphorically,
Maybe
you've
worse.
never gotten that text. The site is
Yeah,
down at
that's
2
true.
a.m.
Good
That
true.
happens.
Pretty similar, yeah.
Okay. So
The
the
baby's shitting out both ends.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah. Just
But
like that.
yeah, you grow to love
Can't
them.
quite spank a client, but I
I know. How do you do that?
don't
Although,
know.
like, listen to me.
Yeah.
Is that inappropriate?
We are getting
Just said spank a client.
I mean, we're talking about
sexual harassment.
Right.
Sexual harassment. No, I'm kidding.
Live dating.
No, but we love our clients, and that's why it's so hard to like make room for also growing our client roster and growing our business. So we have found ways to bring on key team members to have them handle clients once it becomes a well-oiled machine, and then so we can keep
established.
so we can keep bringing on new work. And we're actually, Josh Ariza has been our impetus for this change, which we're going to start going after way more work that we want instead of like we've been really blessed to have a lot of work coming in organically, but we want to start going after the work that we want. And so that's what we're going to do next year, and that's why we've stopped taking on any new work as of now. We're just going to only make time to do that.
And I mean, luckily, like, the work that's come to us, I think we should say, has been amazing work. Like, when you hang out with talented and amazing people, it's going to happen that those people refer you to their friends that are amazing. So all the work that's come to us is stuff I would want to do. But I think as far as working with, like, big brands, like, if you want to work with Nike, if you want to work with 72 and Sunny and all these agencies that have awesome rosters, you have to let them know you're around. And we've worked with them before, a couple of them before, but obviously, like, there's personnel change, and you have to always be reminding them that you're there. Like, there's so many designers doing good work, and if you're not like, hey, we're here, we want to take on projects.
And just for context, Josh Reese is our good friend who's here in Orange County as well.
And for more context, we're paid to mention him in each podcast that we go on.
JoshReese.com. No, but he's been very vocal on social media and through other mediums about asking for work and, like, just putting yourself out there. And more than creating good work, like being a good business person and being hungry and doing some of the sales and marketing and promoting yourself. Kind of on that tangent, how have you guys learned and created some of those soft skills required for business? Obviously, you're great designers. You can create lots of cool stuff, but it doesn't end there, right? There's a lot of other things, whether it's hiring people, doing all of the business money things, or getting new work. Do you guys divvy that up? Is that like a shared thing? How have you figured that out in the last 5 years?
I end up doing a little bit more of the business management side, but
as far as, like, accounting, but then we have our own clients. Like, we try to keep it separate because we're twins and we're trying not to confuse people. We're trying to keep it about the brand and not,
as
like,
far
who
as
am I
like
talking to?
who manages it, we have our own clients.
So we try to divvy it up to where at least one twin is managing each client. And then also, it's just maximizes our time.
Wait, you're
and
twins?
efficiency. Hold the phone.
Whoa!
Can we just clarify this?
Newsflash, we're here with Amy and
Jen.
Jen. Oh my gosh. But also, I would say just most of the skills that we learned were from being really honest and transparent with people, designers that we really looked up to, and even just friends who weren't designers who ran their own businesses. Hey, how are you doing this? I don't know how to do this. Like, I'm really impressed by how you guys maximize this. Can you share a little bit about that? And not taking advantage of them and just sucking them of wisdom, but when it's appropriate, asking them for help and being honest, like, hey, I think I'm really messing this up. Do you think I'm doing this okay?
But also, I feel like we grew up, our parents are both entrepreneurial. My grandma and her husband had a store. They've always done their own thing. I feel like a lot of it is just things that you learn from the people around you. And they're super hard workers. Like, people who grow up in the South, I don't know if it's everyone, but I feel like it is. There's this hard work ethic that it's prized beyond everything else. I feel like work hard, do your best, and that's how you find your worth in life. And we definitely were raised like that, to whether that's good or bad 100% of the time.
It's good to not feel like something's owed to you, and that, like, you have to
go out and get it. No one's going to give it to you, and you have to kind of make your own waves. And so I'm always thankful that our mom taught us that when we were younger. If we wanted to do something, she's like, all right, go do it. Let's write a kid's book, even though you're only 8. Like, things like that. Weird things.
And because of that, early on, we realized that you do have to have help. And so when you do want to do something, you have to go out and get it, obviously, but you have to ask for help from people who know
Yeah.
what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, just like general social skills go such a far distance.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just like being a decent person.
Being
like,
able to introduce yourself and
Oh,
carry a
man.
conversation.
Right? And actually, I almost
really
appreciate
awkward
it
for
when
me.
it's awkward, but
It's
even
super hard.
when someone who's awkward about it does it anyway, that means 1,000 times more to me than somebody who's easy. That's just like, hey, what's up? Like just schmoozing.
It was popular in high school.
Yeah, I was like most likely to succeed. Can you tell? Like,
Oh my
and it's
God.
like you can tell. So I was at a connecting things, and this guy, I could tell it was so hard for him. But he came up and he was like, "Hey, like I'm the guy who interacts with you on Twitter sometimes," and he introduced himself, and I remembered, and I could tell it was so hard for him.
Yeah.
But I've remembered him, and I introduced him to like 3 other people.
It's so cool.
Because I wanted to get him
Yeah.
hooked in, you know.
Yeah.
So that goes a long way, even if you're bad at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So talking about kids that think that things are owed to them, you guys also are educators. You work-
Which is weird.
Students, those damn millennials. No, so you guys teach at LCAD, which
Wait,
is
Joel, how old are you?
31. I'm
Wait,
I'm
we're
technically
millennials.
millennial too.
We're
Yeah, I know.
millennials.
I know.
We're not allowed to.
I like that we're the responsible one.
Yeah.
I tried to say that I was a millennial, and someone was like, "No, you're not."
Is that more insulting or like I don't know
It
what
was
that
insulting
means?
because they know I'm old. I was like, I'm 25.
No, I think like anything
Yeah.
like 84 in the early 80s and
Yeah,
above.
I was like, okay.
So look, LCAT is the Laguna College of Art and Design. Right, you guys teach some classes there.
Seriously, one of the best schools around.
It's
It's
like
an
very boutique
amazing
and small,
school.
but
Yeah.
a lot of high quality
Yeah.
stuff coming out of
Super
there.
nice.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you've like? Obviously, there's that influence you have with early designers. You guys are obviously very active in the community on Dribble. What are some of the things that you guys have observed that like early designers are doing wrong, or what would you recommend designers do, or mistakes they might like want to navigate around that you're kind of seeing certain trends that you're seeing
Yeah.
early
I
designers
would
making?
say generally, like skills, all that, they're fine generally.
like,
at.
better than us.
They learn it like
Scary.
I
They're
know.
scary good.
A lot of our students, I'm like, damn, they're gonna put us out of business.
Yeah, I'm like, I will hire you immediately, so you can't be my competition.
Keep your enemies close.
Yes.
It'll work for
No,
me.
I'm
Yeah.
kidding. But I would say probably the one thing that they just don't realize they're doing because it's out of fear is they come off as being very like, I don't care, like
I don't
whatever,
give a
like
fuck.
they just
Okay.
like lean back, and they're just like, but and it's because
You think it's like
they're-
an Orange County thing? Or
no,
do you
I think
that's-
it's
that's
because
like
they're afraid and they're actually insecure, and so they're projecting
They're blowing,
that they don't care
yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're afraid of being rejected. And a lot of that is just the nature of school is like, obviously there's a role, there's the teacher, and then you're the student, and you're taught to like respect that someone knows more than you and to listen and wait. But at a certain point when you hit that senior year, you got to stop going in that direction and start being like, okay, now I know enough and I need to start doing my own
Yeah.
thing.
Well,
and I
and-
need to put myself up as someone who's like excited and knows what I'm talking about. And we
to
always
own it a little bit.
to own it,
Yeah.
yeah. And we always tell, because we teach professional practices to seniors, so we're telling them like, hey, on your Twitter accounts, on your bio, stop saying you're a student. Like, you should know enough by now to be a designer. You're a senior, you've done
Right.
this for 4 years. Call yourself a designer, and when you're in interviews, show that you're excited. Don't just lean back because you're afraid and unsure. Lean in, like
That's
sit
such a
up.
weird posture, though.
Yeah.
Like for me, when I was an insecure student, I was not like whatever. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like
Yeah,
I
but
was
even that
scared.
kinda-
But I feel like that's like on social media, people post like I feel like there's this front that we've all been able to create. I was like, I'm this person and I'm cool and I'm confident, and inside we're all insecure as creatives.
no.
But I feel like when
also
when
much
I was
happier.
going through school, that didn't exist. So we were all just like super insecure, like I can't do it, and I just
Yeah.
needed encouragement. But I wonder if there's a posturing of
Well, it's weird. There's both of those things because sometimes they're so ego driven about things that don't really matter, but then when it matters, like getting your portfolio done and your work out there so that you can interview, they're like, I'm not ready yet, it's not done yet, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I just always want to tell them, like, don't have that mentality. Start getting your work out there and start learning how to take criticism and learning
Early.
to hear no, because you're not going to get most of the jobs you interview for.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really hard to deal with that
It's
like
so
vulnerability and not being like so married to your work
Yeah.
starting out.
Well, and that's why in our senior professional practices class, like part of the class is creating a website, and then the second half of the class where they show their portfolio off, the second half we make them reach out to people and start going after jobs as a part of the class. And I'm like, hey, it doesn't matter if you're not graduating for another semester. You need to get used to putting yourself out there and getting rejected. To be honest, you're probably not going to get the job anyway.
yeah. we might as well learn from it,
and
right?
if you
Like,
do get
yeah.
the job, awesome. Like, you know, if you get the dream job, then, you know, you'll figure it out, you know.
Also, it's
so.
kind of like one of those horrible things where, like, if you haven't dated in a while, someone tells you, like, just get back on the horse, date anyone, just so you can get out there and get it out of the way. And you think, that's so sad, that poor idiot that has to be, like, my test date for, like, like so I can get my, like, sea legs back on. I always hear the people saying that to someone else, and I just feel so bad for, like, the guy or girl that has to deal with it.
Yeah.
But it's, like, interview with the job that isn't like a make or break job, like just so that you feel comfortable, because you're gonna get so jittery, you're gonna say the wrong thing, you know. So like if you do that with a job that isn't the dream job, then when you go into that big interview, you're like, I've done this.
Yeah, I got this.
But you're also not like this.
Yeah.
You're like in a nice like middle posture, not too far in.
Yeah, that's good. So pricing design work is always a thing,
right?
You guys designed a logo for me for free, and I paid you in beer.
But we also knew you. I feel like it was so easy.
No, and it was kind of like a bullshit move for me to like call you out on YouTube.
That was smart.
Yeah, it's like social pressure.
It was super smart.
For context, Joel tweeted, he was like, Amy, you have an hour. Design me a logo.
I don't want you to do it. Yeah, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it.
I was like,
it's such a good idea. It's a good idea. It's like that guy
Constraint.
who like asks the girl to prom in the quad with like the big banner. It's
Yeah.
like, you can't say no to that.
Yeah, it's like proposing in front of the girl's entire family.
Yeah, like Wrigley Field or something.
How do you guys think about it? And we've talked about this in other conversations, but how do you, is it like something precious to you? Is it strictly contextual and based on who the person is? Do you guys, is it hourly, project based? How do you
Pricing, like
how do
you
you
said,
approach
it's
it?
super contextual.
Yeah.
But generally we do more, almost always project based. As long as we know clearly the scope. If we can clearly define the scope, we'll always go project-based flat rate. And we build into that not only like how many hours do we think it's going to take design-wise, but management, and then a little bit on top just to make sure there's leeway and for reinvesting into our business. And then on top of that, value. What is the value to the client?
That's the thing we're trying to figure out now, right? And that's what changes, that's that X factor that changes so much per client, is the value that it is to the company.
There's value to you as well.
Right, absolutely.
But
right?
like if you're designing for Facebook, like your quote is going to be so different than if you're designing for a mom and pop shop down the street. Like,
and everyone knows that. It's not like it's anything new, but it's just, I think, you know, you have those discussions with the client at the beginning and figuring out what the value is to them, because then you can pitch it that way and present it that way, right?
And that's why the phone call, I think, with certain clients that you think it could be a really big, great job, calling them before you quote them and getting a read on what their expectations are, because if their expectations are way high, no matter how you deliver, they're going to be pissed that they paid that price.
Yeah.
And if their expectations are really low, then you realize that you can actually like build into it like a really exciting wow factor, because they don't even know what the potential is. So getting their read on also what their company is capable of, like what they expect their revenues to be, so that you can build into it, hey, how are they making money and how can I make that better for them? Then you win all your battles.
Well, then you know how to sell it, right? Like if you know their profits or like how many items it'll take for them to break even. And it's like, this really isn't that much in the grand scheme. Because I feel like people don't understand the value of branding. It's so intangible.
Yeah. It has to be communicated on a personal level.
It has to be.
Because
you can't, it's not like a business card that you can see all the time. It's a logo. It's something that lives in the ether that until you apply it is hard to see value in.
yeah, there's so much a difference between the value of a logo and the actual digital thing that it is.
Yeah.
And
then applying
the
it.
time and investment and conversation association that you put in to make that valuable.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Because
everyone knows, like Nike, the swoosh means a lot. Not because that swoosh is precious and special.
she got paid, I think, $90 to do it.
No, yeah, but like there's been millions and millions of dollars put behind that logo that make it valuable.
Yeah.
And it's funny because before, I feel like in the beginning, our clients were the type that you're trying to tell them how important the logo is. And now that we're working with clients who understand design, now it's like the logo is not that important. What we need to be focusing on now is like building out the rest of the system that supports the logo. I feel like people nowadays get so stuck on the logo because everyone knows design.
Yeah.
Everyone has Pinterest, you
Sure.
know? And I'm always like, you guys,
That's
the
a terrible
logo.
phrase. Everyone gets design. Pinterest is around.
But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Everyone has a preference. I've always said, like, being in any visual career is difficult because everyone can, or most people can see,
They can
and so
weigh
everyone has a
in.
preference.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Whether it's thoughtful or not. People
right,
have
and so you're
yeah.
kind of at that point you're like, listen, the voice and the the pieces that we put around the logo actually matter more at this stage, because a logo on its own doesn't mean anything. We have to create the context.
If it's poorly
for
executed,
it.
that will change everything. But if it's well
And that's
executed,
branding.
that also changes everything.
And that's branding, everything that goes into that, like messaging, voice, like collateral. Like we need to focus on that now. I feel like we're always getting stuck on this logo has to say everything. I'm like, what does the swoosh say? The Nike swoosh says nothing. It says shit.
Right.
Wyden and Kennedy made it say shit when they said just do it. You know,
Yeah.
like that's what we need to be focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
You guys are really good too. You ladies are really good too.
I like guys personally.
I
People get
have
mad at me
such
for saying
a hard
guys.
time. It's so like politically incorrect now.
I know, but I get it.
And I feel weird saying y'all.
Just say-
I started saying y'all.
I did too, because I had
But I've
a
heard
manager
Marco-
from Texas. I kept saying y'all all the time, but now
y'all
it just feels
feels good.
wrong.
It
But
feels
Mark always
good.
says folks. That always reminds me of
Folks.
Obama. Good, hardworking folks.
It reminds me just like my grandma.
Yeah,
like, hey,
grandma.
folks.
He
This is
does
like
say
people. So you
We're
people,
we're humans.
on the tone of branding, whether it's Odd and Sods or Hoodzpah, you have a really clear aesthetic and voice. Sometimes like playful or tongue in cheek, right? It's not too serious, but that also has this like handmade analog aesthetic. But you guys also aren't. Like you're very current and you're using social media. You're very
antiquated, but
no, but like
Yeah.
very often you see people that are in traditional branding or print design that are like, oh, that digital stuff, I don't do it.
Right.
You kind of embrace all of it, but still maintain kind of the roots. Is that just part of like what you guys prefer aesthetically?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's what we fall back on because we're both art majors. So
Yeah.
like I loved going to Epicurrence. Shout out to Dan Petty and everybody else.
Yeah.
Dawn.
I said Dan. Anyway.
Don Petty.
I don't know his name.
Arch nemesis.
Wrong name.
No, I definitely said Dan, but like my voice cracked, so thanks for bringing it up. Anyway,
It's a sister rivalry right
Dan
there.
Petty. But Epicurrence was really great because I don't understand a lot of the tech scene, honestly. But I like hanging out with people that do. And that's why I love you and Mark Hemian. I used to love hanging out with you guys because it's a world that I don't fully understand, but I'm trying to, you know, and I don't want to get left behind, and I know how important it is, you know? So, but I think we just fall back on the analog because it's what we know and what we do well. So we're always trying to bring a little bit of that in. And also, I feel like if you have those skills, that's not every designer isn't able to draw. So I feel like that's our competitive edge, you know?
Oh, for sure.
So I'm like,
I
we should be
cannot
maximizing
draw a
this.
wolf. Like I could,
Yeah.
for the life of me,
A
cannot.
lot of designers can't.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a skill you can learn, but still, like I think we have good skills, and so we're always trying to maximize those things, you know.
Very cool.
that
Well, it's
niche.
like we went on a tour to Veracity Collab there in Orange County, a video agency, I guess they would call themselves. And he said that ever since they started focusing only on very specific service offerings, they increased their profits by 300% because all of a sudden they look specialized
I
instead
wish
of
we knew
trying
if
to
that
do
was
everything.
like a broad like thing
But
to
I
do, or
think
if that's just they're an
it
outlier.
made
Because
se-
300%.
But it makes sense for them because they were specializing in an area that at the time that a lot of people weren't specialized in yet, which was video. Everyone was kind of just like tacking it on to their service list,
Right.
but not doing it well.
It was cheesy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh, so cheesy.
we try and specialize a little bit in what we know we do really well, and that I think helps us stand out instead of just.
And we offer the other things, but we outsource them because I think that's how. First of all, that's how you stay nimble, and that's why we call ourselves a boutique agency. Everyone's subcontracted. Jen and I are the only ones that are full time. Everyone else we take on per project, so that we know we're getting the best for the project. You
Sure.
know,
Rather than carrying that weight and
there's
that.
and
Yeah.
that's Mark when he said he was going to start this. He was like, "It's the age of the freelancer. Design Inc. is
Yeah.
going to make people able to connect with the best, and that's what we're trying to do." So that's why I was really stoked when he brought it up.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to Design Inc.
Whoop, whoop. We'll do it. We forgot to do this. We always like introduce drinks. It's the same old things. It's by Herba and just water.
It's what's in
this
the
looks
fridge.
like water, but it's pure
It's just
vodka.
straight. Putting it early.
Yeah, girl.
Cheers. What time are we at? We're at half an hour. I'm gonna do a quick rapid fire just for fun. Get out of the design chat. What's the latest book that you've read?
Does anyone read anymore?
I
We're-
don't.
We're Audible people.
Audible all the way.
Oh,
I
what's
listen.
Yeah.
the most recent book you've listened to?
So it's like a slew of
What do you
like
like?
Regency romances.
Yes.
With everyone found mixed in like a really gruesome murder mystery.
Oh, yeah. See, that's where I'm at. I don't even, like, I've been doing podcasts recently because
I don't even listen
I don't
to
even
books.
do full books anymore. My attention span. I realized the other day when I was trying to watch TV and IMDb and Twitter all at once, like, I can't do one thing anymore. I have to be doing 3 things to be happy.
Yeah.
But
You need
podcasts.
some noise, yeah.
Yeah, I like podcasts. I've been listening to, like, the most horrible murder podcasts. One of them is called My Favorite Murder, and it's hilarious.
Really?
And that's not what you should say about a murder podcast.
Yeah, it's super funny. It's my favorite one.
But it's kind of like SNL, right? They take what's horrible about the world today, like people, like politics and different things, and they help you cope with it, right? Because they bring humor into it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like this podcast, and I really like it. My designer, Arturo, he's like, they are taking way too light the concept of murder. And I'm like, no.
Someone died.
Yeah, I'm like, no, like, you have to listen to the whole
He's
thing. And like,
hilarious.
yeah, he was so not into it.
Yeah.
But if you like murder podcasts and humor, I suggest you listen to it.
Check that out. Put in the show notes. What's your favorite app on your phone right now?
IMDb.
You
IMDb.
guys are for real about that. You're
No,
just-
seriously.
So serious. Like,
So you literally like open it and search for people?
while I'm watching TV, I just
The whole
keep getting.
time.
I'm like, I wonder what they've been in before.
I've never known. I was
a
like,
black
I know
hole,
this is
too.
valuable, but like people, I never understood why.
I don't know
it
why.
was
We're nosy. Like, I want to know.
It's fascinating.
First, you start out with who it is. You're like, that guy looks familiar. Oh, he was in Heavyweights or whatever. Oh, what
Yeah.
else was he in?
Yeah.
Who's he dating? And who did she used to date? And who's her mother? It's like, why do we
Super
care?
interesting.
I think it's because we don't have a water cooler. Like, we don't have a traditional office. We have
So
no
your
gossip
water
ring.
cooler is
We have no gossip
IMDb
ring, so
and
we have to go.
Netflix.
Yeah.
But I'm not into TMZ. I like to make my own conclusions. I don't like them telling
You don't
me
want the
what to
narrative.
think.
You just
Yeah.
want the facts. Straight facts. You guys both draw. Obviously, you ladies, you all
Y'all.
You humans.
folks,
Let's work
all
on it.
draw. Mouse, trackpad, or pen and paper.
I use a mouse with the pen tool.
I use a mouse with a pen tool, but I need.
You
Okay,
guys sketch a lot though too.
I sketch and then I ink it in and I like take it in and vectorize it. That too.
Yeah,
But
so sometimes I'll just draw it by hand, scan it, live trace it in Illustrator, and then refine all the edges, remake things that didn't work out well. But I'm always wondering, like, I need to get a Cintiq, right? Like, that's what I should be getting.
I know.
I've tried that many times, but for UI design, it's so hard for me to like.
Yeah, I mean you're doing.
Like,
But yeah, tell us what we should be getting for the little,
Yeah,
like,
help
how do we
us.
draw and make it easier?
Tell us
Let
what
us
to do.
know. Yeah.
Have you used the new studio?
Okay,
the Microsoft one?
everyone says it's awesome. I was at Adobe Max and I
Yeah.
didn't get to use it because we were selling like hotcakes.
Yeah.
Our booth was
Killing
pretty
it.
busy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and then when I was playing with it, we talked about this on the last episodes. They had some cool demos, but they haven't fully integrated with any of the actual professional software.
and that's what I was
so like
wondering.
a demo, which is cool, but it's like,
Yeah.
but it needs
Like,
to be
how do you apply it?
Illustrator,
Yeah.
right? Like the menus, all the things need to be integrated as input. But
And even with that Apple, like the new pen and stuff, like I've
Mhm.
had a couple of
Pro.
subcontractors use it. But then when I go in and try to edit the files, like it feels like there's no clean lines. Like I feel like a lot of it
Interesting.
is still, I just prefer a Cintiq and I don't know, to me,
yeah,
I don't know. I like
Yeah.
those clean lines.
yeah. Anything else hot in news you guys want to talk about? You guys pumped about live streaming Instagram?
I am. I'm
Yeah,
actually
so
really
you
excited.
like live? You guys do a lot of like
Yeah.
Instagrammy stuff.
I like
and,
it. I think it's fun. I think there's like me and Jen were talking about it. We're actually got invited to do a talk in Sweden, which is super exciting for us because we've never been pretty much outside of the U.S. or
It's
Canada.
baller.
It's super cool.
International professional speakers now.
I'm so excited. And so, but it's a social media and like internet marketing conference. And we were talking about how it's interesting right now how there's kind of this knee-jerk reaction against the like heavily curated Instagrams or social media at all.
Right.
Like everything feels like it's professional photographs.
Well, it
And
started that way, right? And it's kind of moved to this like refined.
well, at the beginning, it was like those crappy filters, and we were all just taking photos of our friends and food.
It's
But
so
then-
bad when
and
you look
that's
at
why
old
Snapchat-
photos
Oh.
from
Yeah,
like a
but-
couple years ago. I was like, oh, the resolution of the
But I think
filters.
that's why we love Snapchat so much,
Yeah.
and then Instagram took it over. But
Yeah.
now, yeah, everybody wants to see more like real feed. Even
like
like
gritty.
yeah, the gritty, raw realness of life.
Even like if you look at like, okay, we're gonna go back to celebrities, but like I was like, my sister was showing me Kate Hudson's feed, and it's like her photos are terrible, and she has like probably thousands of professional photos that I'm sure those photographers would love her to share. And instead she's taking crappy
Yeah.
selfies with her family and friends, but people like that. That's the
Well,
real
it's-
side.
It's always been content,
Yeah.
right? Like the production quality never. It just like as technology and the ability to produce higher quality content increases, it's easier to make better
Right.
professional looking
Yeah.
stuff.
But it doesn't
when-
always mean that it's more exciting. and
Right,
engaging.
but when that
Yeah.
becomes the focus, when the
Yeah.
production, the quality, and the visual becomes more important than the content.
Yeah, or
you're
the
like,
personality.
why?
Yeah, then it's just
Yeah.
It's like you
boring.
can watch like 20 well-produced, well-made documentaries on Netflix, but the story's so boring. And then you watch Making a Murderer, and most of it's just that panning zoom into the like
It's the junkyard.
the stale
Yeah.
picture.
Just
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
black and white photo of the junkyard with like really shitty like prison like phone recordings over top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
and
like
it's
the
one
most
of the
riveting
best
telling,
documentaries.
yeah.
It's good storytelling.
It is.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be, I think the live streaming, even vlogging and YouTube content of people just like sharing their day to day that's uncurated, unaudited
Transparent, right?
stuff. I think
Yeah.
is definitely where more of social media will be going. And I've been enjoying like
That's where
sharing
I'm-
stories
yeah.
and doing
Yeah.
things. I'm a lot less compelled to share a perfect photo. I'm more just be like, I'm buying a coffee,
Right.
you know what I mean?
But I will
It's-
also say that now that there's the ability to have video and all that kind of thing, I like it because you're getting a real sense for the people that you're following. Like, you can't tell much from a static photo. There's so much that can be misread, and that's why everyone looks so freaking cool. Now that
Yeah.
there's video, I'm like, these people
That's a
aren't
lot
cool at
harder.
all. They're boring.
You're clumsy as
Yeah,
hell.
and I like that because it's actually easier to stand out. I'm realizing, like, if
Yeah.
you have something interesting and unique to say, like, now I know exactly whose videos I want to watch.
Content becomes a lot more
because
important,
yeah, because they're actually interesting instead of just
Yeah.
like picture of like feet walking to a treadmill or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
How important has that been for your business?
you're good at catching yourself.
I love thinking about it.
No,
now.
you're doing so good. I'm bad at making changes.
I think it's been good. I mean, yeah, we've gotten a lot of good feedback.
That's how we
because
got the
we've-
internet gig in Sweden.
Is because Amy was really good
Really?
about sharing on stories, like just real behind the scenes. And it wasn't
cool.
just frivolous stuff that was boring. We tried to at least like curate it to being real, but also being like stuff that's new and
Intentional.
exciting
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you don't see on every person's feed that you watch.
Like, it's
So-
not to say that you don't try at all. Like, I probably take 3 or 4 different videos before I'm like, okay, I didn't totally fuck that up, you know?
Yeah.
Because you're trying to make it interesting. You're not just trying to share it's not like that stupid show Big Brother or whatever.
Right. It's not haphazard.
Yeah, it's not just
Yeah.
some like bullshit show of people just making dinner. Like, you know,
Right.
you're trying to share the interesting side of your life and your profession, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then this guy just messaged me, and I'm glad I checked those messages from people you don't follow because
You're always worried it's just gonna be a bunch of
I
booty
never
calls.
check them. I never check
Yeah.
them because I'm like, oh, creeper, weirdo.
Weirdo.
Yeah, but then I was like, oh, you can sort of preview the first part without looking at it, and I'm like, this is a gold one,
Yeah.
okay. And he was inviting us to an internet conference in Sweden, so it's
So
kind of.
Although
I've
this
never
could be
had
how we
creeper,
die.
weird random people. I think it's more of a.
See, but you make it clear that you have like a family and a wife. I feel like anybody who would creep on you would be
Well, I'm just like
super
a.
shady.
I'm just like a dad bod weird guy. Like I don't have
No
creepers.
way.
There's no like creeper people.
There has to be a specialty site for people who are into
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
sure I've got some fans out there, but we won't go there on this show.
Yes, let's not talk about it.
It's for our late night edition.
Yeah, this is not.
That's when we bust out the
Not here
cowboys.
nor there. Yeah, we'll also have that discussion over beer.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming out. This has been
That's fun.
super fun. Anything else you guys want to share or promote, rep?
oddsandsods.co. I'm wearing one right here.
Yeah, I've got all the stuff on.
Yeah, we got some bandanas. We're gonna be doing a sale, but I don't know if this will come out before then. Anyways,
This will come
just
out
check
next
us out.
week, yeah.
And then hoodzpahdesign.com, and then you can just Google us to find us on social. Because we couldn't get all the handles the same. Damn it.
it's-
So it would take forever
it's a
for me to
real
even
struggle.
remember what they
We
are.
don't
I
follow
even know.
any of the rules. We tell our clients to follow. we're like branding. It should be this and this and that. And we break the rules all the time.
But that's kind of hard.
But it's like when you know the rules, then you can break them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys for watching. You know how to follow us and get updates. Any questions online on the live stream?
Just have a few hellos.
It's pretty early.
Hi.
All right. Thanks guys for watching. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you,
Next week.
humans.
Thanks, ladies, everyone.
All y'all
People,
folks out there.
everything, yes.